Yo, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Good to see you again. And today we've got a matchup against TheLuffyTCG, one of the better Blackbeard players in the OP09 meta. And I was lucky enough to get a matchup against him in a case tournament this past weekend. And we had a great game. I was playing PLuffy, he was playing Blackbeard, and I wanted to test the limits of what PLuffy can do in this matchup, because I do feel as though PLuffy's perfect curve obviously is always going first, but I typically don't mind going second against Blackbeard, but I kind of wanted to see how it would pair up against one of the better Blackbeard players in the meta right now. So we do end up going into this match. I think it was absolutely phenomenal. I think it was a really fun match. There were a lot of really key points, and we're just going to hop straight into it. All right, and as we're getting started, ladies and gentlemen, just so that you know, tomorrow we have a new episode of the Cards in Hand podcast coming out. FTC and I are super excited. This was a fun episode to go over, and we're very excited about this one being published. But my man Ernesto right here does hit me with a 6K swing and then playing out the .Q. I didn't have law to play down, unfortunately, for my optimal curve. I do end up swinging 5, and he does hit the This Is My Age, or My New Age. I can't remember the exact name of the card. But just using that to search out a Blackbeard Pirates card and then trashing the other two. Very solid start for him. I'm going to go ahead and play Eustace Kid. This is great for me, but at the same time, if he does have, which he does, the Laboon and Q combo are just going to take out my Kid. And now swinging 6 again, I'm just going to have to get out of it with another 2K counter. I wish that I had a good opportunity to get rid of the Q and either leave the Laboon, but now I'm just going to have to, really unfortunately, probably swing 7 into Laboon. And if he does let it go, then I'll be looking good. But I actually swing 8 into it. He did trash the Shiryu so that I don't have the leader effect. And now this is very smart by my opponent, but he gives me 2/2Ks here, going down to like 2 cards in hand. It's so that he does have a guaranteed way to be able to remove whatever I have on board the following turn. I can use my leader effect and ramp to 5 here. No matter what I play is just going to be KO'd, but I am kind of having to force my opponent to do that. I'm just debating on what I want to go for here, whether it's a 4-cost Zoro and putting down a Law as well. If I have a 5-cost, I could play that down. I just know whatever I'm playing is more than likely just getting removed, and then he's going to be able to play on top of that and put me at a low life count for sure early on into this match. So he saw the right amount of counter in being able to deal with what I have, and now I'm just going to go ahead and use my 4 though for the Zoro Jiro, leaving 1 active just in case I do want to use a Gum Gum Giant, maybe cycle through some cards. Obviously, it's not optimal because I'm not at 10 Dawn yet, that I would like to do that, and then it's just kind of a free cycle. So for me, a little rough, but I know that my opponent does have limited options in hand with only, I believe, like 3 or 4 cards right now. He is going to be sitting on, I believe, his 7 Dawn turn. So he is going to rest 5, though, here. Does use the Van Augur to lower Zoro down to a 1-cost, and then Q to pop it. This gives him 2 options as well for, you know, me to essentially, you know, swing into, and for him to get some card draw here. Trashing another card, going down to 2 in hand. I believe that was the Dragon Claw trashed right there. And I know that I have some cleanup to do. I'm at 5 Dawn, or excuse me, 10 Dawn, so I can play 2 5-costs. But even if I do go that route, it just doesn't feel great. I'm going to swing 7 into the Laboon. He still has a way to, you know, be able to reduce my characters on board. If he does have a, why am I forgetting the name of it? The 4-cost card, the Finger Gun, to be able to use Van Augur and also Finger Gun KO the Luffy doesn't feel great. He is going to almost do exactly that, though, with the Laboon and Van Augur right here. This is so rough. Like, I've put myself in a bit of a situation, and the tough part is that he hasn't played any, he has not played any of the 4-cost event cards yet, so I'm very aware that I'm going to be seeing those and expecting those in life. And he does get down a Jesus Burgess here, and now he has no cards in hand, but I have no on-play effects. I can swing into the Laboon and it just dies for free, but he will still have the reduction with Van Augur. He'll have Q to be able to KO anything. I think that I have a pretty important card in hand, though, that comes up really handy in this matchup in particular for this exact moment, but I'm just debating on whether that's the route that I want to go. And the card I'm specifically talking about is the 5-cost Chopper. So I'm just going to go 5 for the Laboon here. And then I believe at this point I did have a Kid and a Chopper in hand, if I'm not mistaken, but I might not. I truthfully don't remember exactly what I had in this moment. I do have a pretty healthy hand size, though, so being able to defend and my opponent not having stage is really solid. And it looks as though I do have the Useless Kid. I go ahead and use the Chopper here to do the Dawn -1 effect at the end of turn. So I will go ahead and return a Dawn to my Dawn deck, and allowing myself to ramp that back with Kid. So I still leave myself an option for using the Gum Giant. I also have 2 blockers right now, so I can get out of some of his swings. 1 card in hand for my opponent, and he kind of wants to save that for using his leader effect. So I'm expecting some very big swings here. I'm expecting, full stop to go to either 0 life or potentially 1 if I use one of my blockers. I believe his Burgess is only I think it's an 8K at this point in the game. I don't remember exactly how many cards he had in trash. We were talking about it, verbally, essentially. I was saying like, hey, blah, 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 how many cards in trash, just so I know exactly what the swing should look like. But I do get out of this 7K swing with my Gum Giant. I wanted to cycle through, see some different cards. But now I mean, there's no way I don't expect, probably like a 10-11 coming at me right here, with him just leaving that 1 card for using leader effect. He also could split up the Dawn a little bit and swing 7 with Q. So with him swinging 7 here, that does feel probably like what my opponent is going to do. I don't want to rest one of my cards, though, because I know that if I do rest it, he's just going to get a very easy swing. So yeah, 7 with the Q, still the 1 card in hand. Burgess might get pumped up because of this, so I do end up taking the hit. He is going to use, and he does get a Laboon there, which was pretty solid, honestly, for my opponent. But yeah, 7, and he does leave Burgess active. I like this a lot, because otherwise I would have been able to wipe out the entire board. He just needs those extra swings to put me to 0 and then be able to go for game, give himself that win condition here. But since I don't have a leader, since I don't have the on-play effects, I don't have like an option of using 9-cost Mom to, potentially put me into a position where I'm like not as scared of death. But I know that Chopper can be used as a swing here because I can get it back active since I have the Useless Kid on board. I'm going to be giving him too many cards, though, which is a little unfortunate. I would like to be going at life here. However, I know that, yet again, if I hit one of those triggers, it can be very detrimental to me surviving in this match. And on top of that, it's like, I don't want to give him the card draw, so I'm like considering, should I be swinging into both Q and Van Augur, or should I just be leaving the Q on board and swinging strictly into Van Augur? But if I leave the Q, it's looking like another 7K swing, that my opponent's going to have for the following turn. Tough choices. Honestly, it doesn't feel great, the position that I'm in. And I also have a couple of options in hand, but I know that no matter what I do, it's kind of reliant on you know, do I have any plays while also keeping enough counter to stay alive the following turn? But a 6 into the Van Augur does get him a card draw here. I'm going to go 5 to life, I believe this was. I don't believe that I'm going to the Docu. He does end up taking the life and no trigger off of that, which is solid. That was what I was most concerned about, was him potentially hitting the 4-cost Shigan off of life. That would have been really bad for us. And I just go ahead and play 9 Mom, and I do play out a Law. The Law play becomes relevant. I actually played this out in my head. I was thinking like, okay, this forces him to use Docu, and I don't have to really like worry about, you know, Docu KOing something else. And if it does KO, like if he plays a Laboon and uses Docu to remove, let's say, my Chopper or my Kid or something like that, then I'm fine with, now I have another swing with Law. So that was my idea, just being able to have another body. Sure, Docu removes it for free, but you'll see that later in this match that does kind of come to bite me a little bit, doing this and kind of choosing this as my option. So Law does get removed here. I'm fine with it. At the time, I'm like, okay, perfect. I now have, you know, like no threat in my mind of losing both Eustace Kid and Chopper to some removal play with a 4-cost event and some other removal play with a minus, you know, 4, and then using Docu to pop the other blocker. He is going to use my Age here. Lucky for us, though, does end up trashing one of the cards that we were basically scared of the most, which is the Shigan right there. Does pick up another Jesus Burgess. This gives him an option of being able to swing the one he currently has, as well as Leader. Pretty strong attacks, and then playing out another one for, you know, closing out the game. So he's just planning out a lot of his Dawn right here. Like, what's the best way he can make these attacks as uncomfortable for me as possible? Yeah, it's pretty tough. I mean, 9 Dawn to work with. I don't believe, I don't know if I had another Gum Gum Giant at this point in the game. I've only got 3 cards in hand, so this is a very strong 10k swing to my life. I do end up just taking this. And now with the 4 Dawn active, he could just play Burgess. He could also potentially just attach this to the Burgess that he has on board already and force me to use a block. Yeah. And then I'm able to go for board, and I can remove, you know, I can remove everything that would be on his board, but I'm in a scary spot there afterwards, because I would have to rely on my opponent either not trigger killing my blocker, but he does use the, I believe this is the black hole for the Leader effect, trashing the black hole exactly, so I have no on plays the following turn. He is going to swing quite a bit right here. I think he counts out his Dawn, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so it is a 9 plus 4, so we have a 13k swing coming at life. This does not feel great. I don't feel fantastic about, you know, this attack right here. I do think that I had enough to counter out of this, if I remember correctly. I could have countered out and then protected both my Kid as well as my Chopper, but it just felt wrong. It felt like I was wasting a lot of my resources when I could just use a simple block. But I'm going through every possibility in my head, and I do end up deciding to just go ahead and counter, or excuse me, block with the Eustace Kid, saving the counter for the next turn. And now I know with 2 cards in hand, I definitely have to get rid of Burgess here. He can't pump up Burgess by another plus 1k because he's only got 16 in trash. So with the 2 cards in hand, I feel fairly comfortable if I just swing 2k over it that it will be removed. But yeah, I mean, not having the 1k with the Law in hand it doesn't feel as good now, because I feel like with that previous turn I would have felt a bit better if I did have, you know, Law for the 1k, or being able to trash the Law with my Gum Gum Giant. So now I'm just kind of planning out everything. I don't have any on plays, unfortunately. I know that Burgess has to be removed. I can't, unfortunately, defend against a yep, so there we go. We do swing the 11 into Burgess. It does get it is gone now for sure, which I'm very pleased about. I know now that I have to kind of dodge the triggers here, and unfortunately the god trigger was the Shigon right there, and sadly I have nothing. I have no blockers, and you could see me kind of scratching my head like, what do I do here? I have nothing that I can play that would be relevant. You know, I need to keep the cards in hand that I have so that I have as many options of countering out of the 15k swing that's going to be coming at me more than likely. And so I just have to pass with a Billion Dawn active. Obviously the trigger right there was really rough for me, but he just swings 15 using the black hole effect. I do have to try and get out of it, so I end up trashing a Big Mom, going up to 9 with Gum Gum Giant. I think I'm praying right here that I draw into another Gum Gum Giant, and I don't. So I go to 11, 13, 14, 15, and my last card had no counter. So had I saved the Law, I would have been able to survive one more turn. And tragically, I made a very big mistake and a pretty unfortunate misplay right there. I do think that going first was definitely the play into this matchup, and after speaking with Awakened TCG afterwards, he was like, yeah, that definitely would have been more solid for you, but just no blocker there was a little bit tragic. I was like, oh man, I really wish that I had this option, and I know that I have the Sanji in hand. I ended up getting the Sanji off of the Gum Gum Giant, so believe me, I would have played that card if I had it. I hope you guys enjoyed the matchup though. I would love to hear what your thoughts are, and I will see y'all in the next one. And a final note to end the video is I will be hosting my own official tournament tomorrow, January 27th at 6 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to check that out, you can watch the live stream of it here on YouTube or on Twitch. And if you want to register for any future events that I'm going to have, which I'm hoping to do every 2 weeks to potentially every week, you can join my Discord, which is in the description below, and check out all the fun that we're going to be having over there. Until the next time, peace.